As part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts and create the platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely growing community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Another business segment of Dialogue in Diaspora, 2 to 3 p.m. every Monday. But guess what? You know you can be part of the program. Just send us an email at bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. Dialogue in Diaspora, your voice, your opinion on our TV. Welcome to Voice, coming to you live from Ben Television. My name is Tunde Alabi, and it's a pleasure having you to join us on the program today. This is your community legal educational program where I bring to you information about legal matters in the United Kingdom. Every information you need to make you live well within the scope of the law in the UK. Provide that community service where we bring you information, both either as an immigrant, as citizen, or a visitor in the UK. What you need to do within the law, that is what we supply to you here on the program Voice. And our guest, as usual on the program today, is Jennifer Obaseki. Jennifer Obaseki, she is a senior partner at Obaseki Solicitors, based here in London, in the United Kingdom. Today on the program, we'll be taking a look at issues around the myth and the truth around immigration changes. There have been quite a lot of rumors around immigration changes lately, specifically around some African countries. People have said about 30,000 people from certain African countries, for instance Nigeria, will be deported by Monday, and there have been this rumor moving around town that certain individuals who are members of the Commonwealth will no longer be deported from the United Kingdom. What is the reality behind all this information we are getting? So on the program today, we're looking at the myth and the truth around immigration changes, and our guest on the show today is Jennifer Obaseki. Jennifer, thank you for being part of the program today.
My pleasure.
Jennifer, loads of information flying around now.
Yes.
First, let's look at this information now that is making the town that citizens of Commonwealth nations from Africa will no longer be deported. I mean, that information was even very specific that Nigerian citizens in the UK will no longer be deported because they are citizens of the Commonwealth. What is the reality around this information?
Unfortunately, that's not true. That's not true.
Which one is not true?
The fact that you cannot be deported back to Nigeria because Nigeria is a Commonwealth country, or I'm not sure what the author was trying to portray within the article, but trying to say that she's put up a barrier, or there's a barrier to removal or deportation from the United Kingdom because you are from a Commonwealth country, is not accurate. You will be deported. You can be deported. They have been deporting people successfully. Being a member of a Commonwealth country is not a barrier to you being removed. The fact is, even today, somebody asked me to read this article, is it true? And what you find is, if you read it properly, you find that somebody's saying, I think I have found a barrier to stop the UK from deporting people, and I'm asking other Commonwealth countries to sign up to my sort of pledge or request. It's nothing in law, it has no legal basis. It's a theory. So please do not believe it. It is not
the basis on which this information is circulated around is because being a member of the Commonwealth, then you have that legal status to the Commonwealth rights in the British Empire, just as you have the European Union rights to freedom of movement. First, let us look at the Commonwealth issues for members of the Commonwealth. What are some of the limitations, restrictions around movements of Commonwealth members, especially coming to the United Kingdom?
There are no particular specific rights that anybody has just simply because they're a member of a Commonwealth country. There were formerly historic agreements, but now simply if you are from a country that requires a visa to come into the United Kingdom, then you need to get one. And in relation to being removed from the United Kingdom, then what happens is, if you have come into the United Kingdom unlawfully and you've exhausted your rights of appeal, the fact that you're from a Commonwealth country and there were formerly some great historic links between your country and the UK, doesn't mean that there'll be a bar to you being removed at all. So looking at it, the theory, we would love to believe it to be, let's say, something we could access, but it simply is not something you can access. So do not rely on it. It is theory. The other thing is, yes, due to the historic leaks, there are still some specifically designed visas that you can try to tap into, especially the youth workers and other things. But it depends what country you're from. It also depends on your age range. But right now, looking at the fact that this thing has been developed out of, let me say, myth, hope and theory, it shows how susceptible our community is to these types of things. And it's actually quite saddening that it would, a thing that is so untrue could float around so fast and people could be so confused by it. It's quite unfortunate, actually. I prefer that people actually get to hear fact. And that's why I think it's important that we do programs like this, so that we can dispel the rumours and the myths and actually deal with the facts, so people get correct information.
Let's still stay on this Commonwealth issue. In fact, I refused to read the article once I saw the headline that said Nigerians will no longer be deported from the UK for being a member of the Commonwealth. What would have inspired such a kind of information?
I think, again, with a lot of people, because there is so much confusion, people might do it for notoriety. There might be good intention behind this, i.e. they want to raise a legal argument, but it actually has no basis. When you look at the various immigration acts that have passed, the legislation that's there, the international treaties, how can you now say that you want to rely on a historic relationship and use that as a bar to deportation? It's not possible. I also think that because immigration is a hot topic, it's another reason why there's a lot of falsehoods being floated around. There are some positives. Some of the positive facts that are coming out now are, number one, obviously if you've got indefinite leave to remain in the United Kingdom and you have children, those children can apply for naturalisation. They don't have to wait for 10 years. Number two, another good thing is if you were ever progressed along a fast-track asylum application, you can apply to have your decision quashed if you were refused. So if you were detained and your application was progressed along what was called the fast-track procedure, that procedure was deemed unlawful most recently, and you can write to the head of the first-tier immigration tribunal service, asylum immigration tribunal service, to ask that you be granted a fresh hearing. You should also be making representations to the Home Office on the matter, so that if you feel that you've had a refusal under that system, you feel that you've exhausted your rights of appeal, you actually can now try to have let's say a hearing remitted de novo, so afresh in other words, and put forward the reasons why the fast-track procedure prejudiced you and why you feel you should have further consideration on your matter. You need to do so quite quickly. Other things we've spoken about that are positive changes are the changes with regards to the student finance issue. Again, there was the issue with nurses having to be earning, and people in the medical field having to earn over £35,000 under the Tier 2 sponsorship. Again, the nursing profession, well, it's been highlighted that nurses are in a profession that is of high demand in the UK. So there's been a sort of revising of that law, delayed for the implementation of the 35,000. But things like this actually take our focus away from the positive and what we should be telling the community. And this is just confusing the community. And it's something that's not in place, has no legal basis at the moment. So if anybody accidentally thinks that they can rely on it, they'll be misled, really.
They'll be misled indeed. Okay, now let's quickly look at issues. Lately, people have also said that, in fact, not lately, just recently, when one of the Nigerian government top officials visited the United Kingdom, one of the senior officials at the Nigeria High Commission did say about 29,000 Nigerians are due for deportation soon.
Okay.
As a legal expert, how did they come? We do appreciate the fact that the Nigeria High Commission or any high commissions in the UK can have access to certain information that we do not have. But saying 29,000 citizens of a country will be deported at a go, do you want to look at this from a legal perspective, the reality and the myth?
Again, 29,000, the figure, I'm not sure how they accumulated it. This came off the back of the trip that David Cameron made to Jamaica, talking about them reintegrating or repatriating or deporting foreign criminals. The number that we have, 29,000, I believe it must be a cumulative of those who are in detention combined with those who will be affected by a decision to remove them. So it must be extended family members as well. We all know there's a large number of Nigerians in the United Kingdom. We appreciate that. But to say that there's 29,000 undocumented that are subject or liable to be removed from the United Kingdom because they're here unlawfully, it's a stretch, I think personally. But I'm not in possession of the data that was used to make up that figure. I'm not sure how it was compiled, but I'm very interested in researching as to how and whether the figures are
if 29,000 of a single citizen of a nation will be taken, how many are there in say for instance Nigeria, 29,000? I mean, what is the total population of Nigeria?
Well, this is the thing. This is why people need to look at things. When you look at data, especially Home Office data, number one, you can email the Home Office a question and ask, will I be successful in, or should I be making this type of application, or which form should I use? Sometimes they actually get it wrong, but the fact that I'm trying to express is the fact that you can actually ask a question that the Home Office will answer. So many people call up and ask questions. There's a way that you can email questions. You can go through your MP to ask questions. And you can also ask the government of the UK for information. So you can ask for subject access information. You can express you can express why the information you're asking is in the public interest. So if our government, and I'm sure it already does, if the Nigerian government rather, and I'm sure it already does, asks for statistics on the number of applicants who have made applications to leave to remain that are Nigerian, if they can also ask the number of people who are in immigration detention or prison that have got sentences over 12 months that are liable for automatic deportation. And then when you think about the number of refusals that the Home Office has managed to actually record that are of Nigerians, then you would have a global figure of the Nigerians that are liable for deportation or removal or administrative removal. Not everybody gets deported. Not everybody is subject to a deportation. There's a difference between a deportation order and an administrative removal. So a deportation order is something that comes from the Secretary of State when you are deemed not to be in the UK or your presence is not conducive for the public good. And there are some sentences or some actions that can lead to you automatically receiving a deportation order. But there's administrative removal, which is where you don't leave the UK of your own accord and you're removed as a result of the fact that you are here unlawfully. So there is a difference, and that difference, I hope I've explained it quite well. So you might have come to the end of your application, been refused, exhausted your appeals, gone on to sign at a reporting centre, and then been detained and removed. That is not a deportation, that's an administrative removal. Okay. At the same time, you may be an offender or have committed a crime and then come into the UK, been detained by UK authorities, and then as a result of your offending or your behaviour, the Secretary of State issues a deportation order against you. and that is a specific removal. You must leave the United Kingdom, and any right of appeal or any request to quash that deportation order must be made from outside the United Kingdom. The very act of removing you is what may trigger an Article 8 right of appeal or an Article 6 saying that your removal is going to lead to the breakdown of your family, or your removal is coming about without full administrative procedure being carried out properly. However, or it might just be wrong and unlawful. The deportation order may be issued incorrectly. So there is a finite way of challenging any removal from the United Kingdom now. So it's important, again, that the community gets accurate advice and is not confused and doesn't turn around and say, hey, I'm from a Commonwealth country, you can't deport me. You'll just be laughed at and put on a plane, to be quite frank. But again, to be very serious with the whole matter, it's sad that we have so many falsehoods floating around, as I said, and quite disappointing, to be frank.
Okay, now excuse me. So talking about this issue of either administrative removal or deportation, let's create a scenario where we have somebody who has been in the United Kingdom, say up to a period of 17 years. It's not traveled, it's never been out of the UK, has overstayed, yes, eventually overstayed, and has never been out of the country. Say the person is from a place like Cameroon.
Oh, Cameroon.
Cameroon, yeah.
Okay.
And he's overstayed and has been in the country for 17 years. And now asked, having exhausted all the legal avenues, now say, you know what, you've come to the end of this appeal,
Okay.
leave. Would it be justified to ask such a man or such a person to leave, having been in this country 17 years? To where?
Number one, you have to look at the age of the person. If the person has spent over half of their life here and it's a young person, a young adult, then they may have an argument to say that they should be allowed to remain in the United Kingdom. Again, you have to look at their health. If they would have barriers to reintegrating in the country, then again, they may have an argument to say, I would not be able to reintegrate. But the law is one of 20 years. And if the person doesn't have children, if the person is not, even has children but is in a relationship and not the sole carer, if the person has, as you say, not left the country but has had other conduct, if the person has committed crime, there may be issues. So two things. Number one, each case is subjective. Each case is subjective. You can't turn around and say because Mr. A from Cameroon got stay, Mr. B from Cameroon should automatically get it. No. Each case is looked at on its own merits, you know, and a person in that situation, unfortunately, may not be able to stay in the United Kingdom because there's
where will the person be taken to?
There is no legislation that will cover
the question
the permission
is,
for him to stay
the question
in the
we'll
United
be
Kingdom.
asking is, removing a person,
would it be fair?
Would it be fair? Where would the person go?
They would go back to their country.
Which
Cameroon.
country? A country we had left 17 years ago?
Correct. Yes.
How will they integrate?
That is what is
okay,
that is where, when I said, unless they can show barriers to reintegration, it's important, if you feel you cannot go back to your country, that you show the barriers to you reintegrating in that country. If you feel there's going to be a risk of harm, you have to outline what that harm is. You may, after outlining what that risk of harm is, be invited to go and claim asylum. The fact is, the law is 20 years. If anybody tells you you can make a claim under legacy, you can do this, you can do that, you have to make sure they tell you how you qualify under that rule. The Home Office have said even people who claimed asylum and that have been here, that maybe their asylum claim was refused, they were not removed, they've been in the system for 10 years and above. They still haven't been removed. No enforcement action to remove them has taken place. They've now said you can call the Older Live Cases Unit, but actually that unit has now said also that you can come to Liverpool and make representations in person. So every single situation has its sort of prescribed procedure to which you make representations at the Home Office or with the UKBA with regards to it. And it's if you are in practice that you know exactly what procedure fits what person. So your gentleman, no children, no ill health, then unfortunately And if he's mature, if he's not spent over half of his life in the United Kingdom, unfortunately, unless he can really show what those barriers are that he's not able to overcome, if should he be returned to his country, he will be detained and returned. And not automatically detained, but he may be detained if discovered and returned.
Does it fall on the Home Office to just detain somebody and then remove them to a country without the knowledge of the government,
the embassy, the representation?
Yes.
No, actually, the government here has to secure a travel warrant for the person. So that is why what we are seeing now with the Home Office is if you make an application to stay in the country now and you do not have your passport, it's actually going to be rejected. Previously, you can make an application for leave to remain without your passport. But now, times have changed. One of the requirements, prerequisites now for a valid application, not just the fee, not just the NHS surcharge if it's applicable to what you're doing, but also a valid travel document. If you do not have a passport, you can show that you're making attempts to get one. If you've been refused a passport by your embassy, then you can equally show that. But it can be, any application can be refused now if you do not attach a valid passport. And believe me, they may give you time to get one, or they may simply refuse your application if they feel your reasons for not having one are not justified.
Do you need legal advice? Do you need professional help at a reasonable cost? At Obaseki Solicitors we have experts in property law, human rights, criminal litigation, immigration, civil litigation, family law, business law, landlord and tenant law, employment law, Sharia law. At Obaseki Solicitors, we can provide you with advice and assistance at all levels. We have over 100 years experience in serving our local communities, and we have a new maritime and international law department. We can help you. Book a free consultation today. Obaseki Solicitors, providing you with advice and assistance at all levels.
Okay, well, I was still talking about demystifying the myth and the truth around immigration changes here. We've had these rumors making around about citizens of Commonwealth nations not being deported any longer, especially from Nigeria, Ghana. And today it's been made known that there's no such law. Today, we don't know, maybe tomorrow the legislation may change, but as of today, there is no such legislation that says because you are citizens of Commonwealth nations from Africa, you cannot be administratively removed. There's no such law, so do not be deceived. Do not fall victim of anybody who is trying to cheat you of your money. Get information, seek advice, talk to a qualified solicitor whatsoever matter that concerns your immigration matters in the United Kingdom. And of course, we've also spoken about people that are online for administrative removal or deportation, and it's been said where the embassies of the countries involved, they have a very huge task to first determine if such individuals are their citizens, and of course determine their well-being, if they are in good state of health to travel. And of course may not necessarily be that if somebody has left a country for 20 years, we do not beholds the embassy to say, look, this person has left our country. Yes, this person is from our country. Yes, we identify that. But this person has left our country 20 years ago. What relevance will it be to that country now?
The embassy, believe me, the embassy officials have a hard task, and they do their very best to try and make sure that they carry out their duty and not labelled to be let's say blocking or obstructing the UK government in its exercise of carrying out immigration control. But what they do is they do highlight to individuals if they feel the individuals need further legal advice. and they do so professionally, with wisdom and experience.
Okay.
So they are aware of their duty and obligation towards the citizen. They are also aware of what they are supposed to do in cooperating with the UK government, but they do not seek to have any of their citizens, let's say, suffer injustice, and they take serious steps to try and make sure that doesn't happen.
They do take serious steps. We do hope that African governments do take serious steps in protecting the interests of their citizens here in the United Kingdom. This is how we can go on Voice today. You can check out us out on Voice. If you've missed previous episodes, just go on your YouTube, just Google Tunde Alabi's Voice, and all previous episodes on immigration matters, legal matters will pop up straight like that. Just go on your YouTube, type Tunde Alabi's Voice, or Jennifer Obaseki is going to pop up. You can go through some of our last episodes. So if I can go on the program today, it's been a pleasure having you join us on the program. Do have a very good week ahead of you. Stay out of trouble. Bye. As part of our continued efforts to reach the African and other ethnic communities in the United Kingdom with greater impacts and create the platform to hear your silent and unheard views in this hugely growing community in the United Kingdom, our channel, Ben TV, presents to you another live current affairs television program. Our focus on the program is to review and discuss issues around the diaspora community in the UK. The program offers you that unrestricted voice on issues affecting you in the UK. Join us live every Monday at 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Another business segment of Dialogue in Diaspora, 2 to 3 p.m. every Monday. But guess what? You know you can be part of the program. Just send us an email at bentelevisionuk@gmail.com. Dialogue in